I'm not sure if it's just me, or has 2020 been the best year ever? No, it hasn't. It hasn't been at all. Not for me, or probably not for anybody, except for maybe Big Pharma. 2020 has been tough. 2020, I would say maybe has even been the toughest year of my life. From a mental standpoint, it's been brutal. And I think I've had it much easier than the vast majority of the world, to be honest. I have a lot to be grateful for from 2020, but 2020 sucked. It just sucked. It sucked for everybody. But it was also maybe the year that I found the most gratitude. 2020, while simultaneously sucking, might be the year I'm the most grateful for. So on today's episode, I want to kind of talk about 2020 in review, and then 2021 and what's looking forward. So let's get into this. I probably need coffee to get through it. I tried to make a Santa Claus for the holidays. I don't know why I thought I could do that, because I can hardly even do a heart on my latte art, but the coffee is good. The audio up here isn't good though, so let's go back down to the studio. So good. Okay, so let's get into it. 2020. Year in review. Normally, like when I do a year in review, it's a lot of action. And this year it's been not so much action. But it hasn't been all bad. 2020, though difficult and financially crippling, has been really an exciting year. There's been so many changes and so many fun things that have happened that it's not all bad. So let's get into it. And by the way, the coffee is unreal. We use a local roaster from here in the Algarve, and the dude is on point. This is a Peruvian, but along with him, we've like perfected this amazing cold brew recipe from Brazil that's like peanut brittle. That's how it tastes. It's so good. So eventually when we open, which is like fairly soon, and you can, come and visit us. I wonder if Peter McKinnon would let us use his beans. I wonder if Peter McKinnon's beans are any good. Has anybody tried Peter McKinnon's beans? Just curious. Anyways, I think we'll probably stick to this. But let's get to 2020. So good. 2020 started in January, as most years do. And 2020 started in the US. And it was amazing. We had such a good time in the US. And I'm so glad we made the most of our time in the US, knowing what happened towards the end of 2020. We did a lot of traveling, we took a lot of pictures, and just had an awesome time, both with my family and Jody's family who came to visit. Then from the US, I had a workshop in Iceland in February, and that trip was amazing, but it was a challenge too, and it was kind of like a precursor to what 2020 was about to throw at us.
What's happened?
We're stuck. Normally in Iceland, you have a day, maybe a half a day, where you definitely can't take pictures because the weather's bad. On this trip, there must have been 3 days that we probably shouldn't have been out taking pictures, but were. It was a lot of really bad weather. We got stuck in one hotel for 2 extra nights because of a windstorm. Oh shit. We got stuck somewhere else because of a blizzard, and it was a tough trip. But at the same time, this past trip to Iceland was by far the best I got from a photography standpoint. This image from there was probably one of my top 2 or 3 images from 2020, and I got it on that trip. Oh my God, we're getting just absolutely abused by this. In fact, I'm gonna get off of the sand a bit getting abused by the sand, which is flying up and just hitting us in the eyes. Iceland was amazing, though a bit of a challenge. Then we fast forward to Morocco in March. What's up, guys? Just arrived in Morocco. Yes, I've gone from the icy landscapes of Iceland to the narrow passages of Morocco. And that's kind of where the poo hit the fan. The day we got to Morocco, there started to be this talk about closing borders. Nobody was really talking about locking down too much yet, but they were still talking about closing borders. Then the next day, they started banning flights from the UK, from Italy, from all over the world. Flights were getting banned. So the first day of my Morocco trip was mostly spent trying to figure out what we were doing for the rest of the year. I got on a call with Thomas Heaton, and Tom said, "Brendan, I think we need to cancel our Patagonia trip." And I was like, why would we cancel our Patagonia trip next month when, all this that's happening now is, it'll be over in a couple weeks. And I guess that was probably the first time I really underestimated the pandemic. But by the end of the day, reading all the government websites and what was happening in both Chile and Argentina, they were requiring people to quarantine 14 days on arrival. We were just like, yeah, it's not going to be possible. So we postponed that Patagonia trip to 2021, which we thought at the time was probably the only trip we were going to have to postpone. And as I'll talk about kind of at the end of the review, I'm going to talk about the financial situation and what the impact was. You'll see that was only the beginning. The Morocco trip kind of got started off on this, yeah, it's going to be challenging, but we'll get through it and everything will be fine, and then you'll fly home and you'll have to quarantine maybe when you get home, but it'll be no big deal. But as time progressed in Morocco, it started to get more and more dire. All the governments started doing lockdowns, all the flights stopped flying, and basically one day we were in a coffee shop in, I can't remember where, maybe Fez? And the staff said, "Oh, you didn't know? All the restaurants starting today at 4 p.m. are going to be shut for at least 2 weeks." And we had no clue because apparently it just happened instantly when a minister of transport or something like that in Morocco caught the virus and basically set everything into effect. We thought potentially we were going to get stuck in Morocco. In fact, a lot of us were even talking about, hey, let's just wait it out in Morocco. Let's go to the beach for a couple weeks. Which is hilarious to think about it now. We were like, oh, let's go to the beach and wait out this pandemic for 2 weeks, when in reality it's now been a year almost. But eventually we used our brains and we got out. We caught a flight and got out. I went to the UK. I believe I got to the UK March 22nd or something like that, and the UK still wasn't locked down. I think it was one of the last countries in Europe to lock down. Again, we kind of thought, oh, it's going to be a couple weeks. It's going to be a couple weeks. We ended up being locked down basically until June 13th. And honestly, that was a really tough period because the first month of it, I was going, this is actually really good for me personally because I have all these projects I want to catch up on. I wanted to start writing a book. I wanted to start doing a photo book. I wanted to catch up on my Lightroom library. I had all these half-started projects that I wanted to finish, and it just seemed like this was finally a chance for me to do it. But as the lockdown moved on, it felt like a tunnel closing on me. It was like at first, it was like, oh yeah, we've got this tunnel to get through. When we're through it, it's going to be sweet. And then as things progressed, I was like, oh, it's this tunnel, and there's no end of it. And I went into I wouldn't say a dark place, but I went into just a total apathetic place. I stopped working. I stopped even thinking about working. I played video games. I did basically nothing, and it was like this trance in which I was just hoping that the year would pass. I just wanted days to finish. I just wanted to get through the days, and it wasn't a great situation. But at the same time, I'm also very thankful for that time because I'm so happy that we were locked down in the UK with Jody and with Jody's parents. I couldn't imagine being locked down away from Jody, for one. That would have been horrible. But also just to have that family environment for lockdown with Jody's parents was incredible. We got home-cooked meals every day. It was just nice having people to talk to and chat with, and I'm so grateful for that. I could not imagine what those of you who went through lockdowns alone went through. That must have been so hard. Y'all are tough that went through that, because I'm not sure how I would have gotten through that. Mid-June, Jody and I moved to Portugal, believed that we were going to be able to move into our apartment right away, but didn't realize that the bureaucratic process here is a little bit slow. So we spent a couple months with a friend in Carvoeiro, which was actually phenomenal. It was a beautiful place to spend summer. And the vibe here in Portugal is so different. Even with this pandemic happening, it doesn't feel like it. People are basically following the rules, they're wearing masks, but they're kind of carrying on their life as normal. They're accepting the reality and just living life. And it's a really beautiful thing. And it's been so good here in Portugal. But as that time went on through the summer, the financial realities just kind of started to hit me. Jody and I basically dumped our entire life savings into a down payment on a house. So basically we didn't have any money left. And at the same time, I lost my entire year's worth of business. Originally, I thought maybe it would just be my Patagonia trip that was canceled. Eventually, it was an entire year's worth. Up to now, I've lost a full year's worth of gross income from my business. I lost not only workshops, but also any influencer projects there would have been, or travel photography assignments. I think that in the year, basically, of the pandemic, my business has lost somewhere between 80 and 150,000 euros in profit. And I would say that this has been the most financially difficult time of my life, but the reality is there was a time in my life I was like 25,000 euros in debt, and at one point didn't have enough money in my bank account to pay for a hotel or a hostel, so I had to sleep on the beach in Brazil cuddling my camera gear. So yes, this year has been financially painful, but I'm grateful that we're in the financial situation we are to be able to get through it. Basically in September, we moved into our place here in Lagos, which has been incredible. Lagos is the city of my dreams. It is everything I hoped it would be and more. It's so nice. There's such a vibe here that just makes it feel like home instantly. And it's this international melting pot of people that's just so beautiful. I feel so stoked to be here. I love our apartment. I think it's phenomenal. I love our studio. I think it's phenomenal. This office space that I've created has been one of the most empowering things I've done in a long time. Building the coffee shop upstairs, which is now almost done and almost opening, has been so exciting. And Monkey! We got Monkey in, I don't remember what month that was, October? And Monkey has just been amazing. I've never had a pet in my life before. When I was a kid, my mom was allergic, and then traveling around the world, it's just impossible. I've always loved animals, and just having a pet has been, I don't even know how to describe it. They just give you this unconditional love and entertainment and happiness that everybody looks for. I can't imagine life without a pet right now. So I'm super excited that we have Monkey in our lives and we're here in Portugal. And for that reason, I'm so grateful for 2020. I cannot believe all that we managed to accomplish in 2020 despite the challenges we had. We moved to a new country, we bought a house, we bought a car, we opened up a studio gallery, well not yet, but we're getting there. We opened this amazing studio, we got a pet, added a member to our family. It just feels like 2020 has been the year that I've accomplished the most. It might have not been a growth year in terms of income or experiences even, but from a life perspective, I can't imagine a more productive year, and that's absolutely crazy. So I'm beyond grateful for 2020. Without all the challenges it threw my way, I don't think we'd be where we are now, and I love where we are now. I'm grateful that my family has been there to support me, and I'm so grateful to Jody, obviously. I cannot imagine going through this pandemic without her. Normally in a year, we probably spend 150, 200 days together, and this year it's been 365, and I'm so grateful for that. It's just been incredible. Okay, I've got to finish the rest of this video from upstairs because we're waiting for a delivery, and I don't hear them downstairs, so sorry about the echo. My goals for 2021. are on this piece of paper that I forgot to bring in. My goals for 2021. From a technical standpoint, I want to try to focus a little bit more on doing shorter exposures. I've made a living doing long exposure photography, playing with the technicality of opening the shutter for long periods of time, or even just a half a second. But I think you can really tell the value of a photographer's composition skills based on how well their photos look, even fast exposures, even handheld. You look at photographers like James Popsis, who doesn't use a tripod, and everything's basically handheld. His eye is phenomenal. And spending some time with him in 2018 and seeing how he sees the world, I would love to see the world a little bit more like that. And I think when I have the crutch of long exposures, I don't train my eye well enough. So there's going to be more times, I hope, in 2021 where I just go out with my camera and no tripod just to try to train that eye a little bit better. My second goal is I kind of want to dig deeper into a composition. I want to develop the photo and the scene a little bit more. Essentially, I want to be less lazy. I think once you get to be good at composition, you do stop trying to develop a scene. You stop trying to tell a story. Is that the delivery? No. I think I used to be really good at telling stories with my photos by including myself in the frame. I want to try to do that a little bit more. I want to try to develop a story and a scene a little bit more in 2021. I want to cover Portugal from top to bottom. That's goal number 3. I love this country. I feel so grateful that it's been so welcoming to me. Every single Portuguese person I've ever met or has seen my videos online has left me a message saying, "Welcome to Portugal. I hope you feel at home here." And that's just such a beautiful thing, and I feel so grateful for it. And in return, I want to show the world how beautiful Portugal is as well. I want to show all the photo locations. I want to show off, everything from the mountains to the coast to the cities and the villages. I want to cover this entire country. And at some point in 2021, I'm going to do a massive road trip covering as much of the country as possible. Maybe once I get my residency in January, I can kind of do that to celebrate. And when it comes to my YouTube videos, I want them to feel more documentary style. When I shifted my channel from daily vlogging to 2 times a week or once a week, I kind of made a promise to you guys that I would put more time into my videos. I said I'll still be working just as hard on 1 or 2 videos as I was on 6. And I don't think I've been upholding that promise. When I started doing this in the Philippines in 2018, I think that the videos were so good and they had this documentary storytelling purpose to them. And in 2020, I feel like I became lazy. I stopped putting all that extra effort into my videos. And part of it was what's going on in the world, and part of it was just, I just didn't have the drive. But I want that to come back. So in 2021, look for a little bit more going on in the videos, a little bit more storytelling, a little bit more depth, and maybe a little bit more documentary style. I also want to focus on some film photography. I have a couple film cameras, and I don't think it's going to happen in 2021, but I'd love to have my own little dark room here. I have the basement, it's pitch black, I can definitely do something down there, so hopefully that can happen. And overall, my big goal in 2021 as a photographer is to just stop being as lazy as I was in 2020. 2020, I made excuse after excuse after excuse as to why I couldn't go out and take pictures. And I've never done that in my entire life. And in 2021, I want to go out and take pictures as often as I can. And I don't want to be lazy like I was in 2020 from a photography and from a YouTube perspective. I want to make 2021 you can't say that, and it's not right anyway. I want to make 2020 my friend. I want 2021 to be incredible, and I want 2021 to be powerful, and if 2020 is not those things, I'm going to be okay with it because at least it wasn't 2020. Most of all, guys, I want to say thank you to you, because without you all, 2020 would have been an absolute disaster. I'm so grateful for your support, and I hope 2021 is absolutely incredible to you. So I guess I'll see you guys sometime else in 2021. See you there. Peace.